And here's the next phase of operations. As you can see, we've got the main deck and the poop deck, or the upper deck, in place. You can see that I was able to get it relatively straight going down. You can see my lines, and everything is glued in and secure. The nails worked out just fine on the upper deck. That looks flush and everything, so I'm really pleased with the way this turns out. Next phase, the planks. Now, you get these nice long balsa strips that look like this. Now, it calls for them to be segmented in 8 centimeter and 4 centimeter strips. I get a few odds and ends. And of course, you start out with a center line piece, one for starboard, one for port, and it just lays down here to mark the center line where you're going to put the rest of your planks once they're in place. Now, all I did was with this was lay down a full strip. Let me pick one up, like so, right? Which, as you can see, runs right off of it. But you measure it, cut out a notch, and then you see it lays down perfectly. The beautiful thing about this is they're so flexible. You literally can just lay this down, mark it with a pencil, and then use a razor to cut them into the strips that you need. So I'm gonna show you how I do that real quick. Leave that in place, and then we'll get it done. So let's mark these out. We're gonna do the 4 millimeter strips, and then I'm going to assume that you can make your 8 millimeters on your own. So let's just do one. As a matter of fact, I'll do one 4, and then I'll do one 8. All right. So you see here is a line, and here is a line. This is 4 centimeters. This is 8. Now, you can get really fancy with all your tools and stuff. Me, line it up, cut it, plain old pair of scissors, Bob's your uncle. All right. So I'm gonna do this one. I'll have my pieces in place. I'll come back and show you the rest as I lay it out, and then I'll show you the finished product when it's done. Okay, now I'm trying something different here because this is a long piece and I want it to get in. And of course, you see, if I just drop a glob in there, it's going to be kind of difficult for me to, because I don't want to spread it over a large area that I'm not going to work with right away. And I think for this, it'd be easier to work out as opposed to working long. I'm inclined to work with a small area at one time to make sure this works. So I got these little sponges, and it looks like this is gonna work out just fine. So we put that in there like that. We got a little strip here. Remember our strip with the notch in it. And then we're just gonna lay it down in here, making sure that it follows the line, and hope the glue is strong enough to keep it in place. So I edge it, tack it with my finger, edge it, tack it with my finger, edge it, tack it, edge, tack, edge, tack, edge, tack, all the way down to the end, and tack it down. And as you can see, that's what the center line looks like. So I'm gonna work on one side at a time, get the rest of it done, and I'll see you in a few. Here we go. This is how I laid everything out. I want you to see that this is going to be a test run of me putting the planks in the way they're supposed to. And then once it's all glued in, I'll show you the end result. So this is what we're looking at right now, people. Look at this. Now, mind you, that sometimes the eye, and when you're doing multiple measurements, doesn't exactly come out great. But as you can see, everything laid down perfect. It looks pretty sharp, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results. So, a few touch-ups here and there, but I'm kind of liking the way this turns out. So I'll show you the full side when it's done. I'm to show you something here real quick. Remember the last time things look a little bit jagged? Well, I took a ruler, found the smallest or the shortest edge, lined this up perfectly with my line that's already there, tried to make it straight, and just used a hobby knife to cut right down along the edge, and you have a smooth line to start the next section of 4 and 8 planks. So I'll see you when I'm done. People, so here's the end result of one-sided getting the planks in. So you can see the deck planks and how they look. A little rough, but then we get a little block and some sandpaper, and then we just do the little wax on, wax off thing, and we'll see how this comes out. But I just wanted to let you know, this is just one half of the process, and it looks outstanding. I will mention 2 things. I'll show you the print a little bit later, but as you can see, the 8 centimeters and 4, they alternate all the way down. Now, what I was doing before was I was laying 8-4, 8-4, 8-4, 8-4, 8-4. And that was fine as long as you cut these 8 and 4 alternate on the same strip. Otherwise, since as you've seen with my first, that I didn't have them all measured out right and they came out a little jagged, that's what's going to happen on this end. So I ended up trimming down along the shortest edge and then relaying everything out. However, if you go 8-4-4-8, 8-4-4-8, 8-4-4-8, like I did in here, you have a much smoother, and everything is squeezed in together, and you don't have, like, you know, more issues of misalignment as before. And you may still have to cut things down here along the end, but you can see it looks a whole lot better than it does on these 2 when I did the other way. And then at the end, what I did here was I just measured out what I needed to get me past the deck frame, the deck edge, and then I'll snip the extra out when I'm done. But as you can see, here is the finished result. And now we're gonna smooth everything out. And then once I get the whole thing done, I decided, while I was speaking about this, I'll show you the... Everybody, I wanna show you some stuff here. As you can see, I'm trying to get the light just right for you. I got all the planks in, and as you can see, on the starboard side, I've already started trimming all the excess off, and it looks pretty smooth. And I did my little wax on, wax off, and you can see that it's starting to look really, really smooth here. As you check along the light angle, you can see that, you know, the imperfections in the wood create some changes. I'm still depending on, you know, debating on whether or not I'm going to use a wood filler on this, or whether I'm going to keep it natural, like an aged wood, like an aged ship would be. But, you know, you can see as I move along, it's pretty smooth except for the front. So, you know, I got a lot of work to do on this. to get it done. But I wanted to show you how I trimmed off the excess, as you can see, on the port side that need to be done so that it comes out looking like the starboard side. So, you know, you have one side looking pretty much intact and you have one side looking kind of jagged. So I just took a hobby knife and I started to just shave along the edge until, you know, it came out pretty smooth. I tried not to gouge it out too bad, and I did some forward and backwards routines on it, but I haven't quite figured out which one is going to be good. Doing it this way, it's kind of like whittling, and I say that like I'm a guy that carves wood for a living, and I don't, but that's what it kind of reminds me of. And what I do is I just shave off a little bit at a time until it forms the contours of the deck, and I try to get it, you know, close. And sometimes I'll do a downward stroke on it to kind of get it to shave a little bit better and a little bit easier. And then for the big chunks that are here along the edge, right? You see these big chunks along this edge right here. The idea is to cut them piece by piece a little closer to the edge so I don't have to shave off as much when I'm doing. And I kind of gotta go look at it from the bottom to make sure that, you know, I'm not cutting into the deck when I do it, but I'm also taking the excess pieces off, you know, when I do. So as you can see, it's not a perfect science, but I am working on it. The good thing is my blade is sharp enough. It'll take care of whatever excess, you know, stuff I have to work with without causing too much drama. But this is how I figured, you know, it'd be pretty cool to do, and then I can still shave it later to make sure I'm doing it right. And then I keep checking and make sure I don't get into the deck, but I'm also getting the edges, and as you see, I can just have a little bit there. So once again, I kind of brace it real good, and I try not to gouge into it too bad, but, and as you can see, it comes out, you know, fairly decent. So after I finish this, I'll come back and show you that. As you see that I done shaved it all pretty much down to the deck area. I'm now using a sanding stick, and I'm just getting the rough edges done, and I'm going top and side so that it looks flush on both sides all the way down. I should probably use a wet sanding technique for this because of all the dust, but I figure I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway, and we'll see how it all comes out. And of course, sometimes you make a mistake and dig into the wood, but the good thing about it is if you got a good wood glue, you can make up for that and, you know, take care of a few more things. So it's not bad all the way around. I think I did pretty good with it. I could probably, you know, spend some time with it a little bit more, but for now it looks pretty good, you know. I only got a few things I gotta work on, and in the end, you know, it looks like this. So, you know, I gouged out a little bit too much here, but in the end, all the imperfections, I think, will work itself out. All right, show you later. All right, everybody, I wanted to share with you a couple of things that I'm progressing with. As you can see, in relationship to the print that I have here and the deck patterns that you can see, they correspond to the planks that are laid out here on the print. So this is the progress that we've made so far. As you can see, on the starboard side, I laid them out exactly the way they are here, and you can see that they lay pretty smooth down in here as opposed to alternating along this side on the port side. You can see the groups as they're laid out here, and although I started out with the port side, you can see the difference in the way it looks. Of course, to the naked eye, it just looks like one complete deck layout, as it would be if you were assembling the ship together. And you can see the rough section down here and how it looks prior to me sanding it. But you can see that I trimmed everything according to the way it looks in the upper part of the print. But I wanted to show you the smooth sanded side as opposed to the side that hasn't been sanded. You can see the difference in the way it looks, both fore and aft, the way it looks smooth versus rough. And of course, some of the gaps in the planks for the holes and the imperfections, but I'll smooth that out later. But as you can see, as you lay it out, it's almost exactly the way the print is on a 1-to-1 scale. So I wanted to show you that.